folks, welcome to the preparedhomestead.com. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It is a beautiful day. I said this morning that I thought it was going to be a beautiful day, and was I not wrong? The sun's right over here, as you can tell. It's almost 70 degrees out. Almost 70 degrees. Probably in some areas it is, because we're just a little under. We're down in a somewhat lower valley with some springs and creeks, so we're usually just a tad bit cooler than the rest of the region. So I'd say there's probably some 70-degree temperatures around, and it's the 2nd of February. Well, Puxatawny Phil did see his, or not see his shadow, whatever it was, but he said it'd be an early spring. At least that's what the news reported. But man, it is a beautiful day. Been doing a lot of, well, just working like crazy, like we all do all the time, right? But you just cannot complain about the weather today. Some light clouds, but I've not seen anything being sprayed on us, at least that I've noticed. So it's beautiful. Anyways, I know you're tired of hearing the weather. Get on with it. Had someone this morning say, would you quit stalling and just get on with it? Get to your point. I'm an Ozark hillbilly, okay? We don't get to points very fast at all. We have to go around the barn a few times just to find the door. I'm sorry, it's just where we are. We ain't one of them, Yankee people up there in the Northwest and Northeast and all that. We're Ozark hillbillies. And we like to spin a good yarn. And sometimes it takes us a while. Anyways, so I guess we've commenced the bombing in the middle. I got something in my beard and it's driving me. Oh, there it is. Commenced the bombing in the Middle East, according to the news today. I guess we have struck something like 80-some targets in Syria, and apparently there's been some casualties, and some of those targets were Iranian Guard bases, and potentially some of the casualties were from Iranian troops. Now, this will be interesting if that's true. I can't confirm it. It's just what's being reported, and we all know that's a bunch of baloney. But if there's any truth to it, it could mean a serious escalation, because Iran very clearly stated that if you do this, if you bomb and do all this kind of stuff, if you attack any kind of Iranian sovereignty, kill our people, not kill our people, and attack our soil, we will retaliate. It looks like that's what we've done. Now, I don't see any reports of us striking anything inside of Iran. It's all in Syria. But that's what it looks like we've done. I don't know. I haven't sat down and split the hairs on this, and I'm sure there's a bunch of eggheads in Washington and, Tehran or whatever that's going to do that. But it looks like that we may have crossed the red line, according to what's being reported. So does that mean that things are going to escalate? Does that mean things are going to get crazy? Possible. But it's good. I think I still stand by what I was saying this morning, that a lot of this, it may be really happening, but it's really a distraction. They have to get everyone, they have to get the world and all the pieces and the chessboard and the pieces to the puzzle all lined up to where they need it to be for their global domination. And of course, it's the globalists, the World Economic Forum people, all those kind of, whatever you want to call them, the Illuminati. They have to get things lined up in a certain way, get their ducks in a row, so that their plan, their agenda can happen. And so whether or not this is really going to lead to a big wide-scale war, world war, nuclear war, or it's just, more hoopla to get everybody worked up, either way, it still, I believe, is fulfilling whatever purpose that they have developed to get us to a certain point. And so in that sense, I think it's all just a big distraction, because the real stuff of taking your wealth, taking your property, taking your rights, taking your thoughts, your DNA, all these kind of things, that's the real stuff. And that stuff's being worked on behind the scenes constantly, on a local level, state level, federal level, global level, through government, private commerce, all that. It's all being worked out. It's all being done. If you have an eye to see this stuff, if you get on any kind of news site or, the internet or anything, you'll see little things, and you're like, oh, that's why they're doing that. Whether it's messing with our food and food supplies, or just supply chains, or technology that will, have more control over us, whatever it is, things that's moving the banking and the currencies to some type of, global digital currency. We can watch the progression of these things if you're paying attention well. And so, yeah, it's quite possible that we are on the brink of some big war with Iran. And I think it would be very possibly one of the worst wars if that happens. If we go full-scale war with Iran, I think it could be one of the worst wars, if not the worst war that this country's ever seen. I think it would be far more bigger and devastating than even World War I or II. You can sit and laugh all you want to about Iran, but Iran's got some stuff. Iran's got some capabilities, and they have tentacles everywhere. Everywhere. They have operatives and supporters all over the place. So the amount of damage that could be done could be absolutely horrific. And so, yeah, it's possible. It's very possible that we are on the brink of war with Iran. It's very possible that we're on the brink of a civil war with Texas down at the border. Not civil war with Texas, but because of the situation in Texas. It's possible that we're on the brink of some kind of World War III with NATO and Russia. I mean, there was just another country this week, I can't remember which one. It was another country whose top military leader was telling its citizens that they needed to get ready for war with Russia. So all this is happening. North Korea, they have dramatically increased the amount of missiles and rockets and stuff they're firing. And I know you say, well, they do that stuff all the time. But they're doing it way more than they ever have. Like the amount that they're sending out, they're shooting out in the Sea of Japan is way more than they've ever done before. So on the surface, it looks like everything's just, it's getting worse, right? Everything's escalating. Everything across the board. And it all could happen. But that's not the end game, folks. Remember that the wars and stuff, that's not the end game. The pandemic wasn't the end game. Digital currencies, not the end game. That's bad, but it's not the end game. The end game is to have complete total control of you, and to elevate themselves, the people that are doing this, into this godlike position. They're obsessed. They're obsessed with being looked upon as some kind of deity. They really are. And so, they want to control everything, right down to the very cells in your body. Your thoughts, everything, your reproduction, it all. They want to control it all. That's why I've said for years, that's why they're trying to control the food, not just the supply of food, but the creation of food. They want you eating only food that they create. Then that's just one more thing that they can say, oh, we're just as equal to the creator because we're creating your sustenance too. This is really the end game. The end game is to shift us away from worshiping the one true Almighty, the Creator, the God of the universe, and to worshiping them. Now, that's never going to happen with me, but it's certainly happening with a lot of people out there. I mean, just watch the ridiculousness, the absolute pathetic worshiping of the system. I mean, they act like the system is God. And eventually, that's what it's going to be. Not the true one, but that's what it's going to be. So all this stuff that's going on, it's serious. It's very serious. Lives have already been lost. Lives will most likely continue to be lost. At some point, it's most likely going to really start directly affecting us. If things really escalate up over there, oil prices are going to shoot through the roof. Oh my goodness. Do you realize where oil's going to be if we go into a war with Iran? Many other things also. But remember, that's not the end game. The end game is to own you. You, your thoughts, your mind, your cells, your DNA, and your soul. That's where the end game is, to control you. And we need to be setting up our existence, our life, our lifestyles and everything so that it prevents that from happening. Because here's the thing is, if you do nothing, for these people that are doing nothing, and they're out there, they may agree with everything that I just said, and more. but they're not actually doing anything. Just because someone is completely awake to what's going on certainly doesn't mean that they're doing anything. So let's take those people. They're completely aware of what's going on and they agree with everything I just said, but they're doing nothing. And they may tell themselves and tell everyone that, no, you know, if it gets that bad, if it kills me, I won't comply with things. That's what we want to tell ourselves. But history proves to us that very, very few people have that level of willpower. You know, you look at POWs during war. It's not a knock to them, but most of them end up succumbing to whatever, you know, thing that they're supposed to do. They give in a lot of times. Not all, but many. And it's because of the desperation. You know, in the end, there's an intrinsic desire for us to survive. You know, it's very difficult for the average human to just give up to the point that they die. There's just this part of that natural instinct in us to continue to survive. And so when it gets to the point that you're starving, you're hurting, you're cold, and your little children are starving and they're crying out because their bellies are turning inside out, you're going to give in. Most of you are going to give in. You're going to give in and you're going to comply with whatever they tell you. And so that's a big part of why we prepare, so that we don't allow ourselves to get in that situation. It's like someone that's, say, an alcoholic, a recovering alcoholic. You know, if you're a recovering alcoholic, should you hang out with people that drink all the time and go to bars and all that? If you no, of course not. So if you know that the future holds us in a place where we will be desperate to just survive, just to have the basic survival, the things we need to survive, then don't let it get to that point. You know, prepare now. Get food stocked up, medical plans, all this kind of stuff, so that when things fall apart, you're not so desperate that you find yourself in a situation where you run off to the dark side for help. I mean, that's simply put. That's really one of the most important reasons to probably prepare. I mean, there's certain preparedness things you do for temporary, you know, regional disasters and stuff, and that, of course, that totally makes sense too. But I'm talking about the stuff that's headed our way, stuff that you know about, talk about, you watch other videos. It's serious, it's dark, and this is really what they're doing. It really is. This is really their goal, and we've got to be prepared for it. You need to be getting your houses in order and preparing mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.